In August 2025, a wall of fire swept over Cwm Mountain, this familiar, beloved peak overlooking the historic Welsh town of Llandudno, became a pyre, its slopes glowing orange against the night sky. Smoke, thick and choking, filled the air across North Wales, forcing thousands of residents to seal themselves inside their homes. It was a disaster unfolding in plain sight, a spectacle of destruction visible for miles. For days, people watched as a historic landscape disappeared before their very eyes. Turning from vibrant green to a desolate black, that pillar of smoke became a beacon of anxiety, a giant question mark hanging over the entire region. What was happening on that mountain? How did it start, and could anything stop it? We're going to take you to the front lines of the blaze, through the smoke-filled streets and onto the charred hillsides, to uncover the cause and witness the heroic emergency response in the battle to save Cwm Mountain. This isn't just a story about one fire. It's a story about a threat that's putting the UK's most precious landscapes and the communities that cherish them at risk. Tuesday, August 26, 2025, started like any other late summer day in Llandudno. The air was warm and the ground was dry after a long season with little rain. Cwm Mountain, a rugged expanse of gorse and heather, stood over the town, its familiar shape a backdrop to daily life. It's a place for dog walkers, hikers, and anyone looking for a bit of peace and a panoramic view of the coast. But just before 1 in the afternoon, that peace was shattered. At 12:56 p.m., emergency dispatchers at North Wales Fire and Rescue Service started getting calls. The reports were urgent. A fire had broken out on the mountain, somewhere behind the manicured greens of the Maze de Golf Club. For people on the ground, the first sign was a wisp of smoke, then a plume, then a terrifyingly fast-moving wall of flame. Eyewitnesses said the fire spread with alarming speed, the dry vegetation acting like a wick. One resident, out walking their dog, saw the first puff of smoke and immediately dialed 999. Others took to social media, posting pictures and warnings. The comments captured the growing fear, with one person simply stating, "It's spreading." Another said they could literally hear the fire crackling. These posts sparked immediate speculation, though the exact cause remains unconfirmed. What was certain was that a serious incident was unfolding. The initial response was swift. The first crews were dispatched from the local Llandudno station, and they were soon joined by teams from Cwm Bay and 2 specialized wildfire units from Abergele. But as they raced to the scene, the scale of the challenge became brutally clear. The fire wasn't just burning, it was consuming the mountain. A steady breeze and tinder-dry gorse fueled the flames, pushing them uphill and creating a massive column of heat and smoke that could be seen from across the region. And the mountain itself made everything that much harder. Cwm Mountain isn't a gentle slope. It's steep, rugged, and mostly out of reach for conventional fire engines. The same wildness that makes it beautiful also makes it incredibly dangerous to fight a fire on. Crews had to haul equipment by hand up the punishingly hot and difficult terrain just to get to the fire's edge. Within hours, it was obvious this was no ordinary grass fire. This was a major wildfire event that would test the limits of the region's emergency services and hold an entire community captive. The first sparks had ignited not just a fire, but a multi-day battle for a landmark. The orange glow that would soon fill the night sky had begun its terrifying creep across the hillside, and the fight for Cwm Mountain was just beginning. As the flames climbed higher, the fire's impact spread far beyond the burning slopes. The first thing everyone noticed was the smoke. A massive, dense plume rose from the mountain, a dirty gray column that smudged the sky, visible from the coast at Abergele to the inland towns of the Conwy Valley. The wind carried the smoke and the smell of burning across Llandudno, a constant oppressive reminder of the disaster. For thousands of residents, the advice from the fire service was chilling and direct. Seal your homes. People living on streets like Ford Monain and Bodnant, right in the shadow of the mountain, were urged to shut all windows and doors to keep the toxic smoke out. Life in one of Britain's most scenic seaside resorts was suddenly reduced to an indoor existence, the view outside obscured by a haze of its own destruction. Fine ash began to settle everywhere, on cars, garden furniture, and windowsills. A grim snowfall in the middle of August. You could feel the fear in the air. As the fire burned for days, residents watched the orange glow on the horizon each night, anxiously wondering if the wind would shift and push the flames toward their homes. The fire service worked tirelessly to create containment lines and reassured people that homes were unlikely to be at risk. But the sight of a burning mountain on your doorstep is a powerful and frightening thing. The fire didn't just affect those who lived nearby. It brought a town to a standstill. Authorities urged the public to stay away, both for their own safety and to keep access routes clear for emergency vehicles. The paths of Cwm Mountain, normally filled with people, were cordoned off and silent, except for the crackle of the fire and the shouts of firefighters. Beyond the human impact, the ecological toll was devastating. Officials later estimated that around 21 acres of land had been destroyed by the fire. That's over 80,000 square meters of habitat incinerated. Most of it was thick gorse and bracken, a vital ecosystem for countless insects, birds, and other wildlife. For many creatures, there would have been no escape. The fire also destroyed fences and footpath steps, scarring the landscape in more ways than one. This wasn't just a loss of some plants. It was the violent destruction of a complex living environment. A landscape cherished for its rugged beauty was now a blackened, smoldering wound. As smoke engulfed the region, a small army was assembling to fight back. The battle for Cwm Mountain was a coordinated and relentless assault against an unpredictable enemy. At its peak, the response was huge. Crews from across North Wales rushed to the scene, supported by specialized wildfire units and a narrow-access vehicle designed for the challenging terrain. These crews weren't just spraying water, they were fighting a strategic war. Firefighters on the ground, sweating in heavy gear, used specialized tools to beat back the flames and create fire breaks, strips of cleared land designed to starve the blaze of fuel. The work was exhausting and dangerous. They were battling not only the fire, but also the mountain, its steep gradients making every step a risk. And the fight didn't stop when the sun went down. Crews worked through the night, their headlamps cutting through the darkness as they monitored glowing embers and fought back flare-ups. For more than 24 hours, firefighters were in a continuous battle, working in shifts to dampen down hotspots and secure the fire's perimeter. It was a powerful display of endurance and commitment. This impressive response didn't just come out of nowhere. It was conducted under the umbrella of Operation Dawn's Glaw, or Operation Dawn Rain. Established in 2016, this multi-agency task force brings together key Welsh agencies to combat grass fires. It focuses not just on responding to fires, but on preventing them by tackling both deliberate arson and accidental fires caused by carelessness. The Cwm Mountain response was a textbook example of this coordinated approach in action. While the physical fight was happening on the slopes, another crucial battle was being waged: the battle for information. North Wales Fire and Rescue Service provided constant updates, using social media and news outlets to manage the situation. They issued clear safety advice, reassured residents, and repeatedly urged people to stay away from the area, to let them work. This communication was vital in preventing panic and maintaining public trust during a frightening time. The firefighters on the mountain were the heroes in plain sight, but behind them was a complex and well-oiled machine dedicated to protecting the people and landscape of North Wales. Once the flames were finally out and the smoke began to clear, the inevitable question arose: why? Why did Cwm Mountain burn? Officially, the cause of the August 2025 fire is still being investigated, but when you look at the mountain's recent history and the bigger picture, a troubling pattern emerges. This wasn't the first time Cwm Mountain had been on fire in 2025. It was the third. In February, another blaze lit up the night sky near Llandudno Hospital. Then, in May, a fire broke out that investigators suspected was started deliberately. This pattern suggests Cwm Mountain is a recurring target for fires, whether they're accidental or malicious. The August blaze was simply the largest and most destructive of the year, but a spark, whether from an accident or an act of arson, can only become a wildfire if the conditions are right. And in the summer of 2025, the conditions across the UK were perfect for a disaster. The country was in the grip of a record-breaking wildfire season. By mid-August, even before the Cwm Mountain fire, over 46,000 hectares of land had already burned across the country, smashing the previous annual record set in 2019. Experts point to a dangerous combination of weather patterns. A wet autumn and winter led to a huge amount of vegetation growth, which then acted as a massive fuel load. This was followed by an exceptionally dry and sunny spring and summer, which baked that vegetation until it was tinder dry. As one fire science professor explained, the dead, dry vegetation from winter becomes incredibly flammable before new spring growth can soak up water. Most wildfires in the UK are caused by human activity, so the Cwm Mountain fire can't be seen as just a local incident. It's what happens when human behavior meets a climate that is making these kinds of extreme fires more frequent and severe. The fire on the mountain was a stark local warning of a national crisis, showing that the landscapes we think of as permanent are becoming terrifyingly vulnerable. The battle for Cwm Mountain shows a growing threat across the UK. The brave response from the fire service saved homes and prevented an even worse disaster. But the blackened scar on the landscape is a reminder of how vulnerable we are to wildfire. What can be done to protect these precious places? Is it about better education, stricter rules, or more investment in managing the land? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think this is an important story, consider sharing it to raise awareness of the growing wildfire risk in the UK. The fire on Cwm Mountain is over. The emergency crews have gone home, and a fragile quiet has returned to the slopes. What remains is a landscape scarred by flame, a community reflecting on a close call, and a lot of lingering questions. The event was a dramatic spectacle, a massive fire met by a heroic response, but its true significance is what it represents. Those 21 acres of scorched earth are a small piece of the tens of thousands of hectares burned across Britain in 2025. The whole incident is a perfect example of a modern UK wildfire, a human spark, a landscape primed by extreme weather, and a multi-day battle to contain the fallout. The gorse and bracken on Cwm Mountain will eventually grow back, but the incident is a wake-up call. As our climate continues to change, the threat of wildfire will only get worse. The future of landscapes like Cwm Mountain depends not just on the bravery of our firefighters, but on our collective ability to adapt, prevent, and address the root causes of this growing threat. The fire is out, but the warning it sent continues to smolder.